Alright, hey everybody, it's Jack here from Peach Guitars. Welcome to Peach Lockdown Live, as I'm going to rather positively term it. So we're going live here from the shop. As you can tell, I'm in a different location once again. We are now upstairs in the kind of boutique section of the shop. So everyone saw on the last live videos that we did, we shot those in the main saloon, which is where kind of the bulk of our inventory is. If anyone's been to the store, you'll know that it's an absolutely massive, wide open space that's just such a great place to sit and play guitar because it's just such an ambient, nice, open world. Whereas up here, it's a little bit more subdued. But this is where all the real high-end boutique stuff that we sell, that all dwells, and that kind of leads us on nicely to what I wanted to focus on in this live video today. So before I delve too deeply into the subject at hand today, I just want to make sure that I wish you guys well. I hope everyone is staying safe and keeping well, taking care of yourselves out there. This is a very trying time for everybody, but it's great to see that everyone's hanging in there, and the spirit of guitar and the enthusiasm that everyone seems to have for guitar playing has not dwindled one bit. So we're really pleased to see that loads of you guys have been ordering stuff online from us. We really appreciate that. The shop is still operating as normal online. We are closed to the public here in the actual store, but anyone who's purchased from us will know that we're running as efficiently as we always are. So if you want to make a purchase, you can still do that. The links will be in this video description to head to our website. And all the gear that I'm going to show you as well in this video will also be linked individually for the listings on each guitar that I'm going to show you. So you can purchase that or find out more information if you want to do so as we go on. Alright, so all that said, I'm upstairs and we're focusing on some nice high-end stuff once again today. What you'll have heard me playing at the start there is one of my favourite combos of gear in existence pretty much, which is a great Fender Custom shop into a two-rock classic reverb signature. So that kind of hopefully sets an idea of what kind of theme I'm going for today. We're going to look at some really nice Fender Custom shop pieces. And all the guitars that you're going to see, there's about a dozen or so guitars I'm going to show you. They're all either really kind of quirky, limited edition things. There's some really cool stuff that's come out specifically for 2020 as well that I wanted to kind of draw a little bit of focus on. And then there's also a couple of sort of slightly different master-built guitars that you might not have seen, because obviously we show you a lot of the Dale Wilson master-builts that we get. Those are probably the most requested and most popular guitars that we get from Fender Custom Shop. But there's some really nice alternatives as well from some different builders. And so I wanted to start out straight away with this guitar. This is a 50s Tele, heavy relic obviously, and this is master built by a different builder. This is master built by Kyle McMillan, who's one of the newer master builders at Fender. But this guitar, I just think, is a real standout piece. It is a excuse me, it is a heavy relic. But unlike some of the Dale guitars where, you know, a few people have commented, we're not going to get into the relicing debate right now, by the way, but, you know, I'm opening it up, but I'm not going to comment on it just yet. I'm just going to say, I think the relic job on this guitar, as opposed to some of the more extreme examples that we've seen in some other guitars recently, I just think this is really tastefully done. And this is kind of what I think of when I think of a good Fender Custom Shop relic. This is kind of the level that I'm thinking of personally. And I'll show you the back as well. So, you know, it's worn in and it is beaten up, but it's not, there's no kind of finish over finish stuff going on here. I think it overall looks a little bit more natural than some of the other guitars we may have seen lately. So depending on what your taste is, I'm not going to pass any judgment. I'm just going to tell you that this is a great sounding Tele. It's a great feeling Tele because the neck is really nicely worn in too. And I just think the overall aesthetic of this guitar is quite a winner. So I wanted to start with this one. All the specs, by the way, are going to be linked in the live chat. So if you want to find out more information about this guitar in terms of the pickups and the neck shape and all that stuff, make sure that you click the link. Each guitar that I go through individually is going to get its own link in the live chat. So if you want to check this guitar out, check out the high resolution images that are on the website, and also if you want to hear the listing video that I've already filmed for this guitar, make sure you check that link. But I'm just going to play it one more time really quickly to give you an idea of kind of the nice balanced tone that I'm talking about. I think 50s Teles obviously really have that kind of stereotypical bridge pickup thing going on in abundance, but it's not always the case that you find a really nice neck or middle position combination on some of these guitars. So let me show you that more pressingly, and then I'll show you the bridge pickup too. Once again, for reference, I'm playing into a two-rock classic reverb signature. Clean, it sounds like this. Okay, so I played a little bit longer than I anticipated to there, but that was just proof of the joy that is in this Telecaster. I think it's an absolute winning combo, like I said. And I also wanted to make good reference to the fact that I'm using a very exciting overdrive pedal today. We've just received our first shipment, and I believe we're one of the first dealers in the UK to do so, of the new MXR Custom Shop Timmy overdrive pedal. And it's just such a great combo. When you've got this kind of setup, obviously the overdrive pedal is very important because it's such a revealing kind of guitar and amp combination to have. That overdrive pedal just melds with this kind of setup. So I think if you're looking for a kind of nice mid-gain pedal, I just wanted to draw your attention to that Timmy pedal first of all. And obviously the guitar and the amp all works very, very well together as well. So before I before I move on to another guitar, let me just check through some of the comments to see what people are saying. If anyone's got any questions, fire them in. Yeah, so the spec for this guitar has just been linked. So it's an ash body, quarter sawn maple neck. We've got 21 frets, 9.5-inch radius. So what's really cool, I think, with a lot of the custom shop stuff now is that it's rather in keeping with vintage specs, but they're not afraid to kind of make some of those under the hood tweaks, like having larger frets, having a flatter radius ever so slightly. And that's not for everybody. Some people do still like the 7.25 radius, but it just means that it's so much more playable. The pickups in this guitar as well is a hand-wound twisted telly and a broadcaster pickup. I imagine the twisted telly's in the neck, the broadcaster's the other way round. But it's just a really nice balanced tone. You'll have heard it's not too shrill on the bridge pickup. It's actually got some meat to it. The neck pickup though, and that's what I really wanted to kind of emphasize on that little playing clip, is just how clear and articulate it is, even when you're doing really kind of heavy rhythmic stuff with a gain sound as well, which isn't always the way with a telly. So I just wanted to point that out. Somebody asks quickly, Christian, how does the Timmy compare to the Tube Screamer? Let me just show you that. I've got the King Tone Dualist on the pedal board. So I won't talk too much about the Timmy today because we're mainly focusing on the guitars. But I'm going to use the string singer side of the Dualist, which is basically a great Tube Screamer sound. I'll compare the two for you. So here's the Timmy first, and then I'll show you the Dualist, which is basically a Tube Screamer. Alright, hopefully that served as a little demonstration there of the difference between the two. The Timmy is just a much more kind of full-bodied, even frequency response. It's a little bit more dynamic with the volume control as well, I think. But the best thing to do is to stack them together, which I am going to do later on in this video. So stay tuned for that. You'll hear what they sound like together. It's an absolutely winning combination. Right, so that's a very strong start for the first guitar. What you'll see now, hopefully it was done very subtly as I was playing in that clip there. My excellent assistant has displayed all the guitars around me a little more clearly in your view line, so you can see now what we've got going on. There's about there's about a dozen custom shop guitars here that I'm surrounded by. So I'm going to start with the next one in my list, which is another master-built guitar. Okay, so this one is basically the stark opposite of some of the master-built Strats and stuff like that we've seen lately, because an Esquire is as simple as a guitar can get, I think. But this one is just done so impeccably well. I absolutely loved this when it came in. This is master-built by Jason Smith. It's a 52 Esquire and it's in Celadon green. That's C-E-L-A-D-O-N, by the way, not salad. But yeah, really cool colour, really cool aesthetic. And obviously being a master-built, as I was just talking about with that other telly, you've got this kind of little extra level of attention to detail. I think a lot of people do wonder where your extra money goes into a master-built guitar over a team-built. And it's not to say that the quality of the instrument is going to be, you know, leaps and bounds ahead, but what you're paying for really is for one person to be just having their eye on every detail that goes into the guitar. And that basically means that all the little factors that you're looking for when you're trying out a bunch of different guitars, you really hear the personality of that builder come through, I think. So this is Jason Smith's guitar. Let me play it for you, and then I'm going to talk through some of my thoughts on it as well. So I'm going to start clean, and then I'm going to put the Timmy on for a little bit of gain. Okay, so that's basically, to me, in a nutshell, what an Esquire is all about. I actually gigged with an Esquire for a long time and nothing else. It was my only guitar that I used to gig with. Same kind of setup. And basically, for anyone who is confused, because it is quite a confusing prospect of having a three-way switch with just one pickup, let me explain. This is a conventional kind of Esquire wiring. You do see from the custom shop nowadays a few more kind of just alternative options that you can have this wired up as. But by its default setting, what you've got is in the neck position, you've got the bridge pickup with a tone capacitor on it that makes it sound basically like the tone is rolled almost all the way off. And the advantage of that is that if I put on some gain, so I'm going to put the Timmy and the tube screamer on and show you, you can basically almost get that kind of woman tony neck pickup sound because it's just such a big thick sound. You kind of have to compensate maybe with a little bit more gain, but the sound you get is really cool and unique. So let me show you. Alright, so that's that sound. Then when you go to the middle position, what you get is basically a normal Tele bridge pickup setup. So you've got the volume and the tone active. So having the tone active basically dampens the signal a little bit. So you lose a little bit of high end like you would do with a normal Tele setup. So that's kind of, for anyone who's unsure with an Esquire, if you pick one up for the first time, just go straight to that middle position and you'll know exactly what you're doing. Here's that bridge pickup sound with just the Timmy this time. So that's that sound, and then lastly what you've got is when you go to the what would be the bridge position, you bypass the tone control. And that gives you a little bit of extra top end, and I'm going to demonstrate that by having the tone wide open and just to go between those two positions. And you really hear it kick in with a little bit more bite when you go to that bridge pickup sound. Especially on a cleaner sound or with a little bit of gain like I've got at the moment, you really hear it, and it's a really nice little lead boost without having to use any other pedals. So let me show you that now. Yeah, so basically an Esquire is, to me, if you just take away the fact that it doesn't have the neck pickup, it's like a greatest hits almost of what a great Telecaster can do, because you can get that real aggressive bitey treble sound if you want it. You can also tame it a little bit more using that middle position, and then lastly you've got that really cool unique kind of notched filter sound using the capacitor. So it's just a great guitar, and the best thing about an instrument like this with just one pickup is the only thing you can focus on is what your hands are doing. You don't have to think about what pickup you're on. All you have to think about is where your volume is set, and if you're using the tone, how much of that treble frequency you want. The rest is kind of down to you to manipulate it to get the most kind of tonal variety that you can. So to have an instrument like this with the build quality of a master builder behind it, and with such a unique color combo, it's really quite a winning combination. So once again, if you want to find out any more about this, go to the website, click the link that's in the live chat. The specs, obviously, there's not that much to talk about. It's just a simple kind of rock and roll machine, but it will cover you for any kind of teleisms that you might want to do. So I hope you enjoyed that. I love this guitar. And I just want to show you the back of the neck as well. It's really worn in, so it's not really beaten up or anything. This guitar's got a very, very sensible, I guess it's like a Journeyman kind of level of relicking on it. But the neck is just super comfortable and smooth. The fret edges are rolled really nicely, and there's no hang-ups at all on the neck whatsoever. So it's a really comfortable guitar to play. It looks great, it sounds great. That's about all I've got to say about it. So let's move on, and I'm going to show you something that I don't think we've ever done really in any of these kind of compilation videos or live videos. I don't think we've even seen it in like an unboxing video that we've done. It's a good old Jag, which the tremolo arm just fell out of. So let me pop that back in. Okay, so good start with the Jags there. Let me show you. This is all going terribly wrong. Let me show you what a good Jag can do. So the Jaguars are kind of a bit of an anomaly, as are the Jazzmasters. All the offsets, kind of people think of them as being a little bit of a niche. You know, they don't necessarily understand where a guitar like this would fit in to just kind of sitting down and having a play, because you often think of this kind of guitar in a very specific musical context. You think of it as a surf guitar, or if you're a bit kind of more contemporary in your thinking, you might think of it as more of an indie guitar as well. And it definitely does all that stuff very well. It definitely handles all those styles, but if you throw a bit of gain at a Jaguar in particular, they're just so comfortable to play. Because this is a shorter scale on this guitar, you just feel like you're playing a much kind of more compact instrument. There's also a couple of features on here that are really quite unique to a Jaguar. So you've got an individual on-off switch for each pickup, you've got a phase reversal, and then you've got the rhythm circuit as well. I'm not going to go over the top with kind of discussing the specs and setup of a Jaguar and Jazzmaster, but this is just a fantastic example of this kind of instrument. This is a 64 Lush Closet Classic finish, Fire Mist Silver, which has got a really cool sort of off-green tint to it as well. I'm just going to show you clean first of all what this can do, and then I'm going to put some gain on it as well and show you that it really makes a suitable kind of lead instrument as well. So let's check out the clean sound that we got. It just took me a minute there to remember the exact combination of what these switches do. So it's basically an on-off pickup switch for each pickup, like I said, and I think that's a phase reversal, or maybe it's a series parallel. It's a mystery of a Jaguar. Who really knows? I'm sure the spec on our website will tell you. But the proof in the fact is that it just sounds really great. However you set these switches, as long as you don't turn both pickups off, it's a great sound. You've also got this really cool little Fender mute that you basically just operate. This is like a lever here, and it pushes up a little mute pad under the strings. So what that gives you is the ability to do that whole surfy thing. So yeah, it's fun. I wouldn't use it on a gig, but it's just cool that Fender are paying attention to their history, and this is the kind of thing that players actually wanted back in 1964 for some reason. People wanted to sound like that before they realised they could just use their hand. But it's a cool feature, and it looks great. It does actually sound cool. I'm sure if you spent enough time with it and learned to exactly lever this in the perfect position, because I'm just being a bit ham-fisted with it really. It's just a cool little feature, I think. And the last thing I want to talk about before I go to the gain sound is a Jaguar and Jazzmaster tremolo is one of my favourite tremolo systems in the world. It's way smoother than anything else that's out there. I massively prefer it to like a Bigsby system. If you've never played one, imagine a Bigsby that sort of just feels a little bit more free, I think. It also, when you kind of depress a chord, the whole chord seems a little bit more in tune with itself. Super smooth. Anyway, I'm going to sign off on this Jag by playing you some neck pickup stuff with a bit of gain. So I'm going to put the Timmy and the Tube Screamer on and just show you how great this can sound if you want to use it that way. There you are. There's a 64 Jag. Really cool instrument, and basically I just wanted to kind of impress upon you to not think of this as such a novelty, in case that's how you felt, because once you play a really good one like this, you kind of understand why these are such popular instruments in their own right. Okay, so that's that. Let's get back to a realm that I'm a little bit more comfortable with. I'm going to talk you through some more tellies. So this one is part of the Custom Shop collection for 2020 specifically. So these are part of a collection that we saw come into us very recently. And all of the ones that I've played, so there's a few tellies, there's a few strats as well. I'm going to show you basically most of the guitars that we got here in this particular live stream. They've all been great, and they've all been also kind of a little bit off the wall in terms of their spec choice. So, you know, we've seen a million 52 tellies, a million 56 and 62 strats. They're all very cool and interesting, but what you don't see very often are these kind of slightly more oddball guitars like the 72s. And I use the term oddball very affectionately. I think they're really gorgeous guitars, and they actually basically, sometimes people miss out on a whole chunk of Fender's history until you look at a guitar like this. So the Tele Custom is a bit of a kind of funny looking beast, because you've got a wide range humbucker in the neck and a regular Tele bridge pickup, but you've also got 2 volumes and 2 tones. So I guess it was their kind of take on what Gibson were doing back in the day, but it just provided such a unique sound, and you see a lot of kind of alternative and indie players using these guitars. So I'm just going to show you some tones. I'm going to show you some clean, and then I'm going to put the Timmy on for a bit of drive as well, and then I'll talk about it afterwards. There we are. So there's a few of the tones, and what's even more interesting about this guitar is that that middle position is actually wired out of phase. So when both volumes are fully up, you'll hear that it's got that kind of squawky, honky, nasal mid-range thing. But all you have to do is back off one of the volumes, and it doesn't really matter which, and then they're in phase with one another again. So you can still get the regular kind of in-between sounds that you would get out of a Tele, but you can also get the really cool out-of-phase thing. I'm just going to show you that one more time, because it's a sound I really love. So there you go, 72 Tele Custom for 2020 kind of edition. These guitars aren't limited, I don't think, but they are specific specifications for this year. So we're not going to see too many of them. But as you'll see when I start talking you through the rest of the lineup that we got for 2020, it's really strong, and there isn't really a favourite among any of them. I think it's really hard to pick one, but I'm sure you'll be able to. And if you want to find out more info about this guitar, check out the live chat, because the spec's just gone in there. And you can check out the web listing too if you want to find out even more info. Okay, so we're going to delve back to a realm that most of us are very comfortable with. It's something that you see a lot from us. Custom shop strats. So this is another one of the 2020 guitars. This is a limited guitar. So this is a 59 Strat, heavy relic chocolate, which is always good, over two-tone sunburst. And when I first saw this guitar, there is something different, I think, about the way Fender's team-built relics are done, as opposed to certain master builders, obviously, because those master builders all have their own edge and their own kind of style that they like to impact on the guitar. The team-built stuff, I think, just looks kind of what most people think of as a slightly aged guitar. It's a little bit more subtle sometimes, and the relic on this guitar is really cool because you've got because it's a finish over finish, it's chocolate over two-tone. You'll never have seen a guitar that looks like this before, but the way they've done it, I think, actually looks really good. And you just got slight wear marks around the edges of the body. On the back, there's a fair bit kind of where, you know, some buckle rash would be. But there's just some really cool elements going on with the finish of this guitar. And then being a 59 Strat, it's kind of on the turning point. But this has got a slightly larger neck profile. So just before they went to the rosewood in 59, obviously this was kind of on the cusp. The specs vary quite wildly. Basically 59, I think, gives them free rein to do whatever they want to do, pretty much, because you can have a maple guitar, you can have a rosewood guitar, you can have any kind of finish that you want, but whatever they've done here, I think works really well. So I'm going to get this in tune, and then I'm going to show you why this is one of the only Strats that I decided to pick out for this bunch. It's just such a great sounding guitar, and you're going to hear that in just a moment. I'm going to use the Timmy overdrive again, but obviously I'm going to show you some of the kind of classic two-rocky clean Strat stuff too. Only problem with the Strat is floating bridge. Takes ages to tune, but here we go. There you go. So there's fat 50s pickups in here. I've just been reliably informed, as you all have on the live chat. 9.5 inch radius once again, so a little bit more of a contemporary neck radius on this guitar. It's nicely worn in on the back of the neck too, so it's extra comfortable. I think basically this is the kind of winning spec that a lot of people really like from Fender. You know, if you're one of those people that wants the Goldilocks kind of guitar finish, you don't want anything that's overly done in terms of the relic department, but also you don't want that real squeaky clean thing. This kind of finish works really well. If you like a little bit of aging on the guitar and you just want it to be as comfortable as possible, this is exactly what you should be looking for. And if you want a Strat, I think this is one of the best sounding Strats that we've had, and I think it's one of the best guitars in this 2020 collection, hence why it's made this video. So there we go, first Strat of the video. So we're 5 guitars down, and we're going to move over to the other side here, and I'll show you what else I've got. If anyone's got any questions regarding the custom shop guitars that we're showing today, please ask away. But also, I just want to say that we're going to be doing another live tomorrow at 4 o'clock as well, so we're going to have a different theme for that day. Please send in your suggestions and the stuff you want to see. We've had a couple of questions about Gibson guitars, so that might well be something that features. But yeah, please comment in there and let us know what you want to see tomorrow. Okay, so another Strat. This never goes amiss, so it's always good to talk about some Strats. This is another one of the 2020 collection guitars, and it's another one of my favourite specs of a Strat that I've ever seen. This is an Aztec, this is Fire Mist Gold. There's another Aztec guitar to come, so stay tuned for that. This is a 70s Strat though, Journeyman finish in aged Fire Mist Gold with a closet classic finish. There's a lot of Fender terminology that you have to get used to, but it all makes sense once you understand it. So what I really like about this, same thing I was talking about with the 72 Tele, it's just great that they're kind of showing a little bit of love for some of the guitars that have often gone underappreciated. I've said before about the fact that I love Fender's late 60s Strats and their early 70s Teles. I think they're some of the best instruments that they made. You know, when you look at the players that were using this kind of era of Strat, it's very good company. You know, Hendrix was using these kind of era guitars, Ritchie Blackmore, and then in more recent years, players like Oz Noy have gravitated to this kind of spec as well. There's just something about the tone, whether it's all something in your head about the bigger headstock. I think it's just basically it just makes for a slightly bigger sound. But the overall spec on these guitars is kind of fairly in keeping with what most people will know, but they do just have a sound and a character that's kind of their own. Different tuning pegs as well, I think they're really nice to use. So it's just the little things like this that make these guitars a little bit unique. I'm going to show you how it sounds and you can decide what you think. you are. So it's just a really beefy sounding Strat. I love the bridge pickup sound in a Strat when it's done right. I think these pickups are, yeah, 1969 Strat single coils. So a little bit different. Doesn't quite have the same mid-range as like an early 60s Strat. I think these sound a little bit beefier in the lower mids, whereas maybe like an early 60s Strat has a bit more high mid content. But it will still do that nice clean thing. If I turn off the Timmy, I'm going to put on the Tube Screamer and show you a sort of cleaner tone in the in-between position. It'll still do that as well. So, fantastic combination of sounds. Really comfortable U-shape neck profile on this guitar as well. It's quite chunky. It's not like an early 50s Tele would be, but it's a little bit heftier, and I really like the U-shape. It's just really comfortable in hand. And this guitar is gold. It's a gold Strat, so that obviously puts you in mind of some of the great gold Strats of the past. It sounds like those guitars, basically. So if you want to sound like that, this is the guitar to do it. This is a limited guitar, as I said, but you can grab one for yourself, this very one, by clicking the link in the live chat, finding out more specs if you want to, and you can purchase it on our website. So there you go. That's one of the two really cool Strats that's in this haul. There might be something else coming later, but I'm not going to tell you just yet. Okay, so we'll go back to Teles for now. Another 2020 guitar. 2020 limited edition guitar, I'll point out. This is a 60s Tele, and this is like a, well, it's just all kinds of stuff going on. Obviously, you've got the neck humbucker, so it's kind of Tele Custom-ish, but it's actually, as opposed to being a Tele Custom, this is a Custom Telecaster, because it's a 60 Tele, so it's got the binding around the edge. Hopefully you can see that. It says Custom Telecaster on the headstock. Hopefully you can see that too. But basically you can find out all the pictures. If you want to see high-res images of the guitar, you can do that on the website. But it's a little bit of a mishmash of different features. And then obviously it's shell pink over what I'm guessing is three-tone sunburst. You can see a bit on the back there too. So really awesome kind of spec for this guitar. I think we've seen a couple of different colours. There was a blue one as well. I think it was blue over three-tone as well. Same spec, but when the finish over finish stuff is done right, and when the colours match up well, which I think shell pink and sunburst does very, very well, then it's a winner. So this guitar has got, the spec's going to be linked in the live chat, of course. There's quite a bit to talk about with this guitar, I guess, but I'm going to let the guys from the website fill you in with the correct spec. So I'm going to play a bit, and hopefully you'll see that appear in the live chat shortly. So quite a different array of sounds that you can get out of this guitar. That neck humbucker sounds amazing. It's so fat. The guys have told me that it is a Seymour Duncan Seth Lover pickup. So anyone who knows that reference obviously is kind of referring to Seth Lover, the inventor of the original PAF pickups. It's just such a nice warm sound that you would never expect out of a Telecaster. But then it's coupled with a bridge pickup. This is a Texas special bridge pickup. Doesn't have that real tight snap that like a broadcaster pickup would have. I think it's a little more mellow, and I butchered my way through Park Life there as I was desperately trying to think of a Graham Coxon reference, because that's what this guitar kind of screams out for as well. When you go to that bridge pickup sound, it doesn't take off your face. It's just nicely smoothed out. It matches nicely with the humbucker, which isn't very easy to do. Sometimes you find a humbucking pickup in the neck is way too overpowering for a single coil bridge pickup. Not the case here. So it's a great guitar. Really, really comfortable neck. It's a large C profile on this guitar with 21 frets and a 9.5 inch radius, and just a really, really cool relic job. You can see the kind of aging on the headstock is done really nicely on this guitar. And yeah, same thing with the chocolate Strat I talked about. The way they do the relicing on these 2020 guitars, I think is kind of just the right amount. It's not too much. It's not going to offend anybody, I hope. I'm sure it will. If it does, please tell me. If it doesn't and you love it, please tell me as well. But yeah, just a great combo here on the relicing and the tones that you can get out of it and the colour. And yes, I was corrected. It's not just any shell pink. This is dirty shell pink over 3-tone sunburst. So there you go. Dirty shell pink is not something I expected to say today. Somebody asked why we're not in the Peach Saloon. I'll just kind of state once again, for these live videos we're moving around the store, and I wanted to show you a few different locations as we've basically got the store to ourselves now because the store is shut to the public, but a few of us are still here fulfilling online orders and trying to get content out here as well. I just wanted to show you some different places in the shop. So this is the upstairs kind of boutique section. I'm surrounded by nice high-end guitars and a wall of Dr. Z amplifiers behind me. This is the kind of place that we like to be, whether we're filming videos or not. This is the kind of this is the room for me. And as we're talking about Fender Custom Shop stuff, the Custom Shop stuff is all up here as well. So that's why natural fitting environment. Hopefully it's okay though, and it still looks decent for you. Okay, so while I get this in tune, this is another 60s Tele. Obviously going completely different though to the 60s Tele we just looked at. This is still a 2 single coil affair, but this is a Thinline, and this guitar is part of, I believe we've seen 4 in different colours of this model, and they just absolutely smoked everything else that I thought when they came in. I know I said earlier on that it's hard to pick a favourite, but I think these 60s Thinline Teles probably do it for me. If you haven't played a Thinline Tele, it's a little bit like the Tele Custom I was talking about earlier, where it's kind of referencing different things. So obviously it's got kind of a bit of Gibson ES DNA in this guitar. That's, I guess, kind of what they were going for when they developed this kind of design. They wanted to compete with some of what Gibson and some other brands are doing. But it's completely its own thing. It's got the immediacy and the attack of a Tele in its true form, but you get all this nice airiness, and it kind of takes out the shrill edge that you sometimes get when you're playing really clean. So let me show you some of that with the clean stuff, and then when I go to the gain, it's just this really wide open, really breathy sound. So I want to show you that, both of those things. So there's a bit of clean for you, but where these guitars really come alive, I think, is when you put a little bit of gain on. So I'm going to put the Timmy on. I might also put the dualist on as well for a bit of a lead sound, and just see where I end up, basically, because these guitars are one of those instruments that's just really inspiring to sit and play. So I'm not going to waffle on endlessly, but I will just kind of try and delve into a few different tones for you. So here's with the Timmy. Like I said, that other pedal might go on as well. Yeah, there you are. Tele Thinlines, I think, some of the coolest guitars around. And this spec, which you'll see in the live chat, the guys have pinpointed pretty much all the specs on this guitar for you. It's really different. It's special for this year, but it's just an absolute joy to play these kind of instruments. You do kind of get lost in it a little bit, but you'll hear everything from clean to high gain. It does it all really well. And right at the end there, I actually had the high gain sound, but just by turning the volume down and the tone, it cleans up so well, and you've got all the airiness from the open body. I'm kind of gushing a little bit here, but I really love these Thinline guitars. I hope you do as well. And if you want to find out any more information about them, please click the link that's in the live chat. So there we go. Hopefully I covered everything there. Like I said, there are some other colours available with this guitar as well. So check out the Peach Guitars website if you want to see this spec. But there's a really cool, I think it's Daphne Blue, not Daphne Blue, sorry, it's Lake Placid Blue. And there's a Surf or a Seafoam Green. There might be a red one as well. So there's a few different options there for you if you like this kind of spec. Alright then, so this guitar is kind of the sister to the Tele Custom that I talked about earlier on. This is another Tele Thinline, but it's got the two wide range humbucking pickups, so it's kind of Tele Deluxe in nature, but it's another Thinline. So this is a kind of, it's actually a little bit of a sibling to the last guitar I just showed you as well. I think it's cool that they've got a little bit of a theme going here with some of their 60s and 70s instruments. There are some 50s guitars as well in the 2020 collection, but the ones I picked out here I think are kind of some of the more closely related and just a little bit different to all the other stuff that you might have seen in the past from the custom shop. So it's just great to have a bit of variety. I wish on this video I could show you just how well stocked our Fender custom shop room is right now. There's tons of guitars, basically any spec that you could be after, whether it's NOS or heavy relic, master built, team built, whatever. They're all in the room. So make sure that you hit the website peachguitars.com to check out the full kind of the full range of guitars that we've got, because there's just so many. I'm basically just scratching the surface with the guitars here today. Anyway, I'm going to show you how this sounds. I'm going to show you how the two wide range humbuckers work together, clean and a bit of gain too. So there's a couple of tones for you. I always think it's really interesting when you have humbuckers on a telly, because it does change the character of the sound, obviously, but but you still don't lose what the telly is in essence. It's still got all the kind of attack and immediacy that people like it for, and it adds a whole new kind of element to a humbucking pickup. I think you still get loads of clarity, and you get the kind of pop that you would get out of a single coil pickup, which isn't always that easy to achieve. On the neck pickup here, for example, it's just really, really punchy if you want it to be, but you can also back off the tone and get it really warm. So I'm going to move on to another guitar shortly, but I just want to show you that before I go. So here's kind of all the way from pop to jazz in terms of the pop of the pickup, and then I'm going to show you more of a jazzy sound. Very clever what I just did there. I hope you understood. Here we go. There you go. So it's a really versatile guitar, excuse me, and the wide range pickups have loads of clarity. I just think they're great voicing pickups. I really wish you kind of heard them on some other guitars as well, from some other brands, but it's great that Fender's got it all in-house. They've got it taken care of, and when you get a guitar like this, you're just getting maximum versatility, but it's got its own unique kind of stamp. The relicing job is really nice as well. Same thing with all these 2020 guitars. None of them are particularly overdone in any way. It's just some really cool wear marks. And if you don't like this kind of thing, you know, there are other options available, of course, but we kind of tend to go for this kind of mid-level relic a lot of the time. And it seems that Fender are very much in league with us in releasing these limited edition guitars in this kind of finish. So there you go. Just wanted to point that out. Okay, so got a couple of the guitars left, and I think I've saved some of the most exciting till last. I did tease earlier on that there'd be another gold guitar, and also that there might be another Strat. So I've given up that tease pretty quickly. Here is the result of my tease. This is a 64 Journeyman relic finished aged Aztec gold Strat. I know a couple of the guys here in the shop really love this guitar. As I said before, it's a gold Strat, so, you know, what are you going to do about it? It's really cool. But this, as opposed to the Firemist Gold, this pops a little bit more. It's a bit more kind of showy, and I think that's very telling of when the guitars in the mid-60s were refinished. Quite often they had these really cool finishes that just kind of popped a little bit more. And it's something that Fender obviously wanted to bring back. You don't see that often an Aztec Gold or those kind of Firemist Silvers and those real poppy kind of metallic colours, which is a shame, but in this case, you know, there's a great example right here. So specs on this guitar hopefully will start appearing in the live chat shortly. I'd imagine they're the 64 spec pickups as well. I could be wrong about that, but if they are, they've got a really nice kind of very immediate kind of quality to them. So let me see if what I'm imagining will match up with the reality. Here we go. Here's the clean sound. I'm going to put on the Timmy as well for a bit of drive. There we go. So I love the sound of the 64 pickups, which have just been confirmed that's what they are. They're just a great sounding pickup. They've really got a lot of clarity in their voicing, and I really like that kind of very articulate mid-range that these pickups have. It works great clean because they're not too overwound, they're not too overpowering. So if you've got a great clean amp like this 2-Rock, they're just going to sound absolutely fantastic to do all your kind of lest I try this live Mayerisms. Responds really articulately when you put on a lot of gain too, so it's just a great combo, it's a great finish, it's a great Strat. I've just been told I've lost my job for playing John Mayer, I presume. I'm sorry, but it has to be done sometimes on a Strat. You can only push it off for so long. That's all the Strats for today anyway. I just want to show you one really cool last guitar that hopefully, if you haven't already seen what it is from it hiding in the rack, it's going to maybe make you say, whoa, a little bit. So, one of the last 2020 guitars. This is a limited 72 Tele Thinline. You can see it from the back here as well. But this is an aged blue flower finish. I'm sure a lot of people will be going, ooh. Some people might be going, ah. But it's just a cool guitar. There's no denying that it's very different. Obviously, this is a little bit of a takeoff of like the paisley finishes that were very popular in the late 60s, early 70s. But what you get here is obviously the blue flower finish. I think it's not quite as equally iconic, but it's still really, really popular as well. Apparently the sound's gone. Are we back up? Okay. Hopefully you can all hear me. There we go. You didn't miss much. I was just rambling about the blue flower finish. This was kind of alongside the pink paisley finishes that you would have seen in the late 60s and early 70s as well. Never quite as popular. But I actually think it's quite similarly cool. I prefer paisley maybe slightly, but this is very different. So again, it's based on the 72 Thinline platform, which I've already played you the Sunburst version of that guitar. But this one has a little bit of a party piece as well. Okay, I'll show you more clearly. Hold on, once I've tuned it. There we go. Let's just get a close-up before I talk any more about it. There's your front, there's your back, and you'll have seen the party piece I was talking about is that this guitar's got a Strat tailpiece on it, so you can do a little bit of waggly tremolo action if you feel so inclined. Also, you've got the rosewood fingerboard, of course, so it's a little bit of a different tonality. Let's check out what it's going to be. I'm going to start clean, and then I'll put the Timmy on for a bit of overdrive. So there you are. I'll end today's video with a bit of dive bombing on a Telecaster. I'm sure you didn't expect that when we first opened up this custom shop discussion, but it can be done. Yeah, some of the specs been filled out in the comments for me. So 2 more Fender wide range humbuckers, 60s oval C profile with 21 frets and a 9.5-inch radius and a blue flower finish. So hopefully you'll see that the collection for 2020 from Fender has kind of got a similar theme running through it, but they're pushing a few borders that they previously had kind of remained untouched, I think, with guitars like this, and some of the really cool finishes that have come along as well. Obviously I talked about a couple of guitars that aren't part of this 2020 collection as well, like the 64 Jaguar and the 2 Masterbuilt guitars right at the start as well, the cool Jason Smith Esquire and the Kyle McMillan Tele. Overall, just a really, really nice selection of guitars. I hope you've enjoyed what I've picked out for you. I have seen a couple of requests for particular guitars to be demoed. Don't have time to do any more, unfortunately, today. But if you want to see any more listing video content, you can check out our YouTube channel. And you can also check out any particular guitars video on its listing page on our website. So if you go to peachguitars.com, you'll see an accompanying listing video, as well as full high-resolution images for every guitar that we've stocked currently, and also you get current pricing information. One last thing I just want to say before I sign off is that these are very difficult times. Obviously, everybody's aware of that. Thankfully, though, as I said at the start of this video, the guitar community still seems to be thriving superbly. So we really appreciate everyone that is still giving us their custom online. We are fulfilling orders over the phone, via email, and of course on the website. So thank you to everyone who's made purchases from us. You can continue to do so at our website. And also, as these are trying times, it might be a great opportunity for you to take advantage of the 0% finance options that we've got. So we've got some buy now, pay later deals. If you're a UK customer and your order value is over £300, check out those finance options. It might just make you help you make a decision if you need to do that. If you need a little bit of help, hopefully that's a great way to do it, and you don't have to miss out on a really cool instrument. So that's the sales pitch done. I just wanted to say that, once again, I hope that everyone's doing very well. Thank you for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I'm going to be doing the same thing at 4 o'clock tomorrow as well. So keep commenting with the themes that you might want to see for tomorrow. I've got some ideas on the list already. Let's see what direction we end up going in. But thank you very much for watching today. I really appreciate it. I hope that you all take care, and I hope to see many of you and many more as well tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Thanks, guys. Take care. I'll see you then.